Good morning, my brothers. Bill Carter here. The Chinese philosopher Confucius once said that signs and symbols rule the world, not words or laws. And I think he was right. Long before we learned how to read, before we even codified commandments or ratified constitutions, humanity interpreted the universe through symbols. The rising sun, it wasn't just the morning, it was resurrection. Mountains weren't just big earth, it was the throne of the gods. And even silence carried meaning because the world speaks to us symbolically. Symbols speak to the subconscious and actually bypass the noisy intellect and can ignite the eternal part of us that knows the truth when we see it without needing it explained. Freemasonry is actually built of such symbols. They're not really decorations, they're instructions, if you know how to read them. And I must tell you, as Grand Master, I have taken that very seriously, not just in what I've worn, but in what I wanted to communicate quietly, but powerfully through symbols. Now, here's something that until now, very few people have known or even noticed. When the Grand Master's apron was being crafted for me, I did ask for one symbol to be changed. I replaced a central traditional symbol with a scarab beetle. A scarab beetle. To most, it's just an insect, but to the ancient Egyptians, the scarab was actually sacred. It symbolized transformation and rebirth, that eternal journey of the soul through the veil of night toward the rising of the sun. In fact, they believed that the scarab pushed the sun across the sky. It was a symbol not only of work, but of purpose and of the inner resurrection that happens when a person sheds the husk of who they were and becomes something more. And for me, it was a constant admonition. Do not waste this sacred time. Push forward. Be transformed. Serve the light. And I'll tell you, every time I've put on that apron, I've remembered that my journey was not about position. It was about becoming. But it didn't stop there. We've also shared in wearing the Grand Master's tie, one that many brethren maybe saw as decorative, but to the initiated, it whispered a deeper truth. Now, you probably know that woven into the tie were bees and owls and roosters. And most of us know that the bee represents being industrious, being tireless. A bee builds the hive just as we masons labor together to build a temple not made with hands. We also know that the owl, wise and watchful, reminds us actually to seek understanding before judgment and to lead not by force, but by insight. Now, the rooster, of course, heralds the dawn. It calls the world into wakefulness. And for us, this old Masonic symbol represents the Mason who raises others from ignorance to light. But there was one final symbol hidden in plain sight. It was a single purple owl. Now, purple, the color of royalty or spiritual sovereignty, it's a very powerful symbol, but why one lone owl? I made no secret that the tie contained a hidden message. It whispered a secret that was actually discovered by 5 brethren. And that secret was, through the wisdom and industriousness of the individual Mason, Freemasonry is daily reborn. You see, that's the secret. Every day, with every act of integrity, every handshake, every single lesson passed from mentor to candidate, and even every lodge that opens its doors, Freemasonry rises again, not as history, but as a living light. And so, my brothers, I beseech you now to always remember this. We are the keepers of a symbolic language that predates empires. We are not a relic. We are a resonance. And symbols only matter if we live them. So live like the bee and build tirelessly. Think like the owl and speak wisely. And rise like the rooster and awaken the world to something greater. Whether you wear a scarab or an apron or a tie or a trowel, remember, every symbol points to this same truth, that we were not meant to merely exist. We were meant to become. So carry your symbols with purpose, and whatever you do in the coming years, my brothers, be legendary. Thank you.